start the recording if it has not already been?
It's on.
It is on,
Okay.
Bhaiya.
Okay. So namaste everyone. So we have already covered three chapters of Samadhanatmak Bhautikvad, and happy to now start the fourth one, which is happens to be my favorite, the fourth and the fifth chapter. Actually, the fourth and fifth chapter were part of a separate book earlier, which was published much earlier in the um, maybe in before 1980s. It was actually published uh, by Babaji. So these two chapters called अस्तित्व में परमाणु का विकास और फिर उसके बाद एक और है. I don't remember the title of that. So these two actually are quite good, and especially those people, those among us who are coming from the science background, this should interest them, might intrigue them, and might trouble them also. Right? So, so, so just with that warning, so I will start this reading. Um,
It's my just to add on to it. It's my favorite also. Yeah, like the concept in the chapter is mind blowing actually. Like
Yeah, indeed.
and
Yeah.
as I said last time, like this, like many other things, the author has sort of covered at multiple places so that it doesn't get missed out. But this is something which is covered probably only in a couple of books. It is in so
Yeah.
much of detail. It has not come up in other books.
Yeah.
So
So we will actually try to understand, and one of the objectives of bringing this darshan into English is that much of the science and is actually available in in English language. So if we actually bring this darshan's content into English, so it will probably provide a bridge for bringing this into the uh, I mean basically a due consideration of this proposal by the thinkers in the field of science and so on, right? So they would actually challenge it, and many other things would happen, and finally what is right would get established, right? That's what we want, right? We are after the truth and not really after establishing one ideology or another. So objective of us is to actually understand the truth, right? So and so this is a proposal for this, and it is important to actually it has been presented for the people of the world, right? So we will start reading this. So over to Sanjeev Bhaiya. So you want to maybe
ji, ji,
take
ji,
this?
sure, ji. So maybe who can start it? Shilpa Didi, you will start with the first paragraph.
Yes, Bhaiya, thank you.
जी, जी.
अध्याय 4 अस्तित्व एवं अस्तित्व में परमाणु का विकास चैप्टर 4 एग्जिस्टेंस एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एटम इन एग्जिस्टेंस अस्तित्व को अनादिकाल से मानव स्पष्ट और प्रमाण रूप में समझने का प्रयास करता रहा है। इसी क्रम में अधिभौतिकवादी विचारों के अनुसार चेतना से पदार्थ की उत्पत्ति होती है, ऐसा माना जाता है। भौतिकवादी विचारों के अनुसार पदार्थ से चेतना निष्पन्न होती है। ये दोनों विचारधाराएं अपने अपने समर्थन के लिए अनेकानेक तर्कों, अभ्यासों और प्रयोगों को प्रस्तावित करते रहे हैं। अभी तक न तो किसी ने चेतना से पदार्थ को पैदा होते हुए देखा तथा न ही पदार्थ से चेतना पैदा होते हुए देखने को मिला। यही देखने को मिलता है कि चेतना व पदार्थ अविभाज्य वर्तमान है। इसके मूल रूप को देखने से पता चलता है कि सत्ता यानी कि चेतना में संपृक्त प्रकृति यानी कि पदार्थ ही अस्तित्व सर्वस्व है। यहाँ देखने का तात्पर्य समझने से है। सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति अविभाज्य वर्तमान होने के कारण अस्तित्व स्वयं सह अस्तित्व के रूप में नित्य प्रकाशित है। इस तथ्य को हृदयंगम करने पर स्पष्ट हो जाता है कि चेतना और पदार्थ में नित्य सामरस्यता त्रिकालाबाद सत्य है. Humans have since beginning less time. Humans have, since beginning less time, endeavored to understand existence clearly and with evidence. In this course, metaphysical thought has held that matter arises from consciousness, whereas materialist thought has maintained that consciousness emerges from matter. Both ideologies have proposed numerous arguments, practices, and experiments in support of their claims. Yet, neither has matter been seen emerging from consciousness, nor consciousness emerging from matter. What is evident is that consciousness and matter are inseparably present. Upon examining their fundamental nature, we learn that all of existence is essentially nature, that is matter, saturated in omnipotence, that is consciousness. Here, seeing is intended in the sense of understanding. Since nature saturated in omnipotence is inseparably present, existence itself is eternally manifest in the form of coexistence. Upon internalizing this fact, it becomes clear that the eternal harmony between consciousness and matter is the truth valid across all three times. So here Babaji is starting with this chapter, existence and अस्तित्व में परमाणु का विकास, the evolution of the atom. Can I just see the English? Yeah, atom, the development of atom in existence. So here they say, the author is saying that humans, since the beginning, has tried to understand what is existence with clarity and with proof, to know it completely. So in this course, two types of, thought streams emerge. One is the metaphysical one, in which they say that matter arises from consciousness, that consciousness is the source of matter. And in the materialistic thought, it said that consciousness emerges from matter, that matter is supreme and whatever remains is consciousness. So both these ideologies, propose numerous arguments, practices, experiments to, prove their understanding of existence as it is. But, but neither has been, there is no proof of either. Like neither that anybody has seen, consciousness like emerging from matter or the other way around. But what is always there is that we can understand is that consciousness and matter, they are inseparably present, and both have been eternally present since ever since humans came. So and they try to understand reality. So and when we examine their fundamental nature, so we learn that all of existence is essentially matter. So basically now Babaji is bringing in two more terms, that for matter he is saying uh, nature, and for consciousness, he is using the word omnipotence. So here, like seeing means understanding. We are trying to understand this. It's not just seeing with the eyes. So since nature is saturated in omnipotence and they are inseparable, therefore we can understand that whatever exists is coexistence. So it is matter, it is the nature, and it is omnipotence, yani ki astitva or vyapak. So, and once we internalize this, like Hridayangam kare, yani ki, I think every molecule atom in our body, understands this fact. Just like na kan kan se samajhna. So once we internalize this fact, then it becomes clear that there is eternal harmony between consciousness and matter. And this truth is valid across all times. So Trikala Bad, all three times, so past, present, and future. So it is always there. So yeah, this was quite straightforward and very beautifully started. Thank you.
But- So, I think very well explained. You said that from the time the humans came to this earth, they have tried to make sense of whatever is. Hmm? So themselves, uh, the nature around them, space, is there is anything absolute, is anybody controlling the affairs of the world, right? And how is everything working? They have tried to actually understand, because humans by very their nature, they are inquisitive. They want to know. They have the need to know. Okay. So that is what actually in this darshan it said that humans are different from animals, and it basically uh, another genus itself, right? Which is the order or the knowledge order, right? So we see, so here it is putting a very broad view to the past, saying that two ideologies have emerged in the past of human history. One basically broadly is saying is which basically is saying that there is something absolute, okay, from which everything has come about, has originated. So the idea of creation or origin is there, and also the idea of annihilation, or that everything will get dissolved, right? So srishti or pralay, right? So there is a creation and there is dissolution, right? And it is in the hand of some supreme being, right? So that which has been basically uh, said in various ways through different spiritual thoughts, and propagated through religions, right? And the second thought is that of materialism, which basically says that it does not recognize anything absolute power or God or consciousness. It says that basically there is matter is the supreme reality, only reality, and consciousness actually emerges from it when it becomes very complex. Like, for example, um, I mean, in plants, they say it's not so complex matter. Then basically in animals it becomes more complex, and humans it becomes even more complex. So consciousness or the thought is essentially a product of matter itself, right? So that is what they basically believe, that consciousness emerges from the matter. Consciousness emerges from the matter. So what he basically is saying is that all that we are seeing is that these two realities actually are there in the present. When we see in Vartman, that we see is that both these things are present simultaneously. That is what is a very simple thing. Another observation here he is making is that seeing means understanding. So this is one thing that we keep hearing in this uh, darshan, that uh, uh, basically whatever we see, it need through our senses, yeah, we would be able to say that we have seen it only when we have understood it, right? Without that we will not be able to even claim that we have seen it also. Okay. So, and finally, understanding is that we are able to see the end-to-end connectivity between what we are seeing and what we are understanding, and what we are understanding, we are manifesting in our living. Okay. That is the correlation that we want to see. So with this, I would like to invite any other observations or comments or any discussion from those present.
Good, Bhaiya. Good context setting in the first paragraph.
जी
So we can move ahead then.
जी
We have three small paragraphs. I think we'll read them in one flow and then discuss them together. Maybe I will read the Hindi part, and Raghav, will you like to read the English part?
Yeah, Raghav bhai, you are mute.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that.
Ji,
Yeah.
ji,
Okay.
good. And just to share, Raghav, I've been reading what you shared with Rakesh Bhaiya. He shared with me also. And
That was starting
good
point,
writing.
it was just for my understanding.
Yeah, but they are good pointers to, thought, they give food for thought. Great. So I'll go ahead. सत्ता अरूप है, व्यापक है और सत्ता में प्रकृति रूप गुण स्वभाव धर्म संपन्न है और अविभाज्य है। ऐसा कोई स्थान ही नहीं जहां सत्ता न हो, इसलिए प्रकृति का सत्ता में होना स्वाभाविक है। सत्ता को साम्य ऊर्जा, शून्य, ज्ञान, चेतना, व्यापक, नित्य, ईश्वर और निरपेक्ष ऊर्जा के नाम से भी जाना जाता है। सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति अनंत इकाइयों के रूप में है। प्रत्येक इकाई सत्ता में संपृक्त होने के कारण सत्ता में घिरी हुई, डूबी हुई और भीगी हुई है। Here we can scroll down to the next Hindi section. जी, सत्ता व्यापक रूपी किसी लंबाई चौड़ाई में सीमित नहीं है, इसका कोई मापदंड नहीं बन पाता, इसलिए सत्ता व्यापक है। प्रकृति रूप में जितनी भी इकाइयां हैं उन सब की गणना नहीं हो पाती, इसलिए वे अनंत हैं। इस प्रकार अस्तित्व स्वयं व्यापक और अनंत है। सत्ता अरूपात्मक और सत्ता में प्रकृति रूपात्मक अस्तित्व है। अस्तित्व का तात्पर्य होने से और अविनाशिता से है। सत्ता गति और दबाव विहीन स्थिति में है, जबकि सत्ता में ही संपूर्ण प्रकृति गति और दबाव सहित विद्यमान है। दबाव अर्थात वातावरणवश या परस्परतावश आकर्षण विकर्षण के लिए बाध्यता। सत्ता अरूपात्मक होने के कारण आयामों में सीमित नहीं है, जबकि सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति अनंत इकाइयों का समूह है। साथ ही प्रत्येक इकाई आयामों सहित 6 ओर से सीमित। ओवर टू राघव।
Yes, Rakesh. Okay. Upon examining their fundamental nature, we learn that
the next paragraph.
The next paragraph. Omnipotence is formless and omnipresent. Within omnipotence, nature is endowed with form, properties, essential nature, and dharma, and is inseparable from it. There is no place where omnipotence is absent. Therefore, the presence of nature in omnipotence is natural. Omnipotence is also known by names such as uniform energy, space, knowledge, consciousness, omnipresence, eternity, God, and absolute energy. Nature saturated in omnipotence exists as countless units. Each unit, being saturated in omnipotence, remains surrounded, submerged, and soaked in it. Omnipotence is not confined within any dimension of length or breadth, nor can any measure be established for it. Therefore, omnipotence is all pervasive. All the units that exist in the form of nature cannot be counted. Therefore, they are countless. In this way, existence itself is omnipresent and countless. Okay, understood? So, omnipotence is formless and nature within omnipotence is formful existence. Okay. Existence implies beginningness and indestructibility.
Beingness and
Implies beingness and indestructibility. Omnipotence remains in a state free from motion and pressure, whereas whole of nature existing in omnipotence is present with motion and pressure. Pressure refers to the compulsion towards attraction and repulsion arising under environmental influence, mutuality. Because omnipotence is formless, it is not confined by dimensions. Whereas nature saturated in omnipotence exists as countless collection of units. Further, each unit remains dimensionally bound from 6 directions. Okay, so maybe let me just try to summarize these paragraphs in English. Please add anything else. So omnipotence is basically present everywhere. Um, um, and it is essential, and it is endowed with form, properties, and essential nature in dharma, and it is inseparable from it. There is no place. Okay, so basically it is present everywhere, and it is known by various other names like God, space, omnipresence, so on and so forth. And it is also consciousness, also can be used as a term to refer to it. Um, Omnipotence is present in various countless units. Okay, so this omnipotence, one interesting thing is there is no way to measure it, or it is dimensionless, and no metric for it. So space and time are beyond, because space and time are with measurements. So therefore, it is always present and it is timeless. So therefore, okay, so there are these units. So there is thing called pressure. So basically, that is being described. So there is no pressure or dabav here in on omnipotence, but this is felt by the units. It is felt by the units. Um, so there is, okay, Rakesh, one next paragraph, please. Next line. Next paragraph. Therefore, it is countless. Yeah, it is countless because there is no measure at all. So that is clear. And this pressure of attraction or repulsion happens because of environmental influences or mutuality. Yeah, this looks little interesting because it can be because of physicalness. This mutuality is not physical actually. So it in other things is the above can happen in other ways also. So okay, so basically omnipotence remains in a state of free from, okay, because there is no pressure. It is always present, no changing in it. Um, Whereas these entities feel have this motion and pressure because there is dabav. Yeah, what I can see from here, these entities can have gravity kind of thing, or forces and repulsions can be there. Yeah, that's all I could get, Rakesh, from here.
Yeah, so it's good. So basically, the first thing that we understand from these three paragraphs is that what is existence? I mean, what is there in the sense? He says there are only two realities that are there. Okay, what is there? It's only two realities. One is the omnipresence. Something is there which is limitless, which is all over the place, which is unaffected, absolute, right? It has been given many names. It is in a complete state, right? It has also been given the name as Brahma. It has been named the absolute consciousness. It is been given the name God. So this is one reality. So I remember one discussion that I had with Babaji. He said, परस्परता में जो खाली स्थली है ये खाली नहीं है, ये ऊर्जा है ना? Something that gives me goosebumps even when I hear it today, that this actually the space that is there between the units is not something which is empty. It is all filled. Hmm? So this is actually energy. This is an absolute energy. This is a reality in itself, and this reality is not affected by the activities of matter. So matter is not actually affecting this reality. The movement of the matter, the pressure and uh, wave and pulsation and growth, decay in the matter that is happening is not affecting uh, this thing. But and the movement of this is not displacing this uh, reality also. It is there at the places where matter is, and it is there at the places where matter is not. It is everywhere. So it is pervasive. So this is one thing that we say, that this is one kind of reality that is there. It is the absolute reality which is omnipresent. So this is one starting point of this darshan, that there is this reality. And then it is also saying this is not the only reality. Okay. Says that this is not the only reality. The matter in it is another reality. So matter, which is present in this omnipresent reality, is in the form of units. And the units, by their nature, they basically are limited by dimensions. Like, for example, they would have certain height, certain width, certain depth, right? So you would be able to have the property of simple location in the units of nature. Like, you can say, if something is here, it cannot be there at the same time, right? So basically, like, for example, if you are here, then you are not over there. Like, if the glass is over here, then the glass is not there, right? So that is the property of nature, that it basically has to have a simple location with it. But the same cannot be said about the other reality, omnipresence. It is there everywhere. Okay. And the concept of time also is not there. It's not that it is there at this time and not and goes to other place at another time, right? It also does not have any pressure in it. Pressure would require a change in state. Hmm? It doesn't have a change of state. It remains in the same state. There is no movement in it. There is no pulsation in it. There is no change of state in it. So this is one reality that is present. So this is one thing that it is basically trying to say. Second thing is that this nature uh, is there. There are four aspects to it. This basic, which we actually will study in further detail. Uh, the These four aspects are form, properties, essential nature, and dharma. Okay. That form is roop, gun, swabhav, or dharma. Okay. So we will actually go into more details of this. While,
Rakesh, I have a question here. Sorry, I'm sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. See, nature has no scale, right? I mean, omnipotence has no scale. So how can it have a form and properties?
No, that is there with the units of nature. It says that within omnipotence, nature is endowed with.
Okay, okay, nature is endowed. Okay, understood. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Within omnipotence, nature is endowed. Okay, sorry, I
Yeah.
misunderstood. Sorry.
Yeah, so
Okay.
omnipotence doesn't have form, right?
Correct,
But
correct, correct.
omnipotence is formless and omnipresent. Within omnipotence, nature has form, properties, essential nature, and dharma, and is inseparable from it,
Understood, understood.
right? Yeah. So basically, when we are actually studying vyavastha, that orderliness of in existence, we are actually trying to study the nature. Okay,
Mhm.
how this nature is at various levels, and what orders it is found. Okay, what are the laws with which with which it is working, how its conduct is, and then also seeing ourselves as the units of nature. Okay, and basically, thereby uh, identifying that what is our conduct, what is our essential nature, what is our dharma. Hmm? So all these things is basically studying of our own selves. We, so we are actually recognizing ourselves as units of nature. Okay. So so for so within existence, we are actually finding human being as a unit of nature. Other thing that basically is, it is saying that each unit being saturated in omnipotence remains surrounded, submerged and soaked. इसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं घिरा हुआ, अ,
डूबा
डूबा हुआ और भीगा हुआ, right?
भीगा
Right. So if you look, if you, so there is a physicality, physically also we can actually see this thing that if a unit is there, all around it is the omnipotence reality. It is surrounded by it. There is no part of it where it is not there, right? So, say for example, an object is there, then all around it, omnipotence is there. Then it is submerged in it also. It's basically that is also there, that it's not going out of it. Yeah. So it is submerged in it. And then it is soaked in it. That means it is through and through, or is it is there, right? Which means that when the unit moves, it does not displace the thing. Like for example, a fan's blade moves, then it displaces the air, but it does not displace the omnipotence. That remains as it is. So the movement of the unit does not uh, displace, and it is through and through. So we will actually come to understand what is the implication of this. So these two realities are in coexistence. Coexistence fundamentally is of these two realities. There is no struggle between these two realities. There is no conversion from one to the other. Matter does not become absolute energy. Absolute energy does not become matter. Okay. There is no creation that is happening from this. There is no conscious activity in the omnipotence. It doesn't have any thought. It doesn't have any resolve. उसमें कोई विचार नहीं है, उसमें कोई संकल्प नहीं है. So it is not a conscious entity. Okay. It is, so omnipotence is not a conscious entity. It is not an object. It is not a unit. It is not having a simple location. Okay. It is everywhere and it is there in the absolute way. And the units are present in it. Being present in it, they have the energy to do the activity. So the atoms are active because they are energized in it, because they are soaked in this absolute energy. They have the infinite reservoir of energy available to them other, for them to perform any activity. They have the space to perform their activity because they are submerged in it. Their activities are actually having some sort of regulation. They are not, they are having bounds to it because they are actually surrounded by this. A unit has limits, and the limit is essentially where the limit of the unit is, there is omnipresence is there. That is another way of looking at the thing. The unit's limit is defined by the beginning of omnipresence. Where we say that, for example, a glass is there, the limit of where the glass's boundary is, you see that there is, is it you can see the omnipresence is there. So unit is surrounded by omnipresence. So we will come to understand these things later, but it's important that this is the starting point of this darshan, where we are saying that these are the two absolute realities. There are no third reality also. Okay. Which means that apart from unit and omnipresence, there is no third reality. There is nothing, there is no second omnipotence also. Because if you have a second omnipotence, you will need to have the boundary between the two. You will need to have one ending and the other beginning, right? So there is no two existences. Existence is only one. Okay. There are no two existences. There are no multiple universes. Okay. So this is existence is omnipotence and nature. So this actually is making that claim also. Okay. So, and then there is saying that there is actually the units are having compulsion for attraction and repulsion because of mutuality. So yes, naturally, like if there are more than one units are there, then they would be having attraction and repulsion. So if you see, the countless uh, is the adjective for units. Okay. And limitless or infinite is the adjective for omnipotence. Omnipotence is formless. It doesn't have any form. For it to have a form, it would need to have dimensions. So while the nature has forms, it's so that's why it is called a formful existence. Then other thing that basically it is saying is that existence implies beingness and indestructibility. So this is another important fact here, that this beingness is something that cannot be taken away from existence, both from nature and from omnipotence. Okay. So this actually is there and has continuity of being. Okay. So that is, there is no point at which existence got created, or there is no point when the existence would be destroyed. Nature has the property of transformation, but omnipotence, because it is not even having a form, there is no question of its having transformation. The nat so the transformation is there in the units of nature, but omnipotence does not have any transformation. It is absolute. So beingness is something that defines existence. Okay. This is, and second is that indestructibility. So one of the definition that we see of existence is, in Hindi it is called Nash Vihin Gun. That it is something which is beyond destruction. It is not possible to annihilate existence. It does not get annihilated. It has been there, will be there, is there. Okay, it's always in the is condition. So the beingness or is what existence means. So basically in omnipotence remains in a state which is free from motion and pressure. There is no motion in it, there is no pressure in it. Okay. Motion means that something moving from one point to the other. There is no movement in this. Okay. And pressure and movement actually go together. Okay. So both these aspects are not there in the omnipotence. While in the units, we can clearly see that these aspects of pressure and motion are actually there. Right? We can see a ball moves right? And basically, Earth moves. So the units actually have the continuous motion and pressure, okay, and they affect one another. Okay, so that is the thing that we basically are we what are we trying to do here? We are trying to understand existence. So in so first thing that we saw, that there are only two realities. That is one major proposition that is there. Second proposition is there, that the one aspect is formless, another is formful, and formful and formless are together. साकार और निराकार जो हैं, ये दोनों चीजें साथ साथ हैं. These two things are together, they coexist. There is no fight between them, there is no struggle between them. They are ever and will be are all. Okay. So this is what we learned in these three paragraphs. So any observations or comments? This is, I mean, the things that are being said are not speculations. Okay. They are not ideas. Okay. But they are the statements of finality, that it is so. Okay. And it is invited for verification, examining that, okay, you tell me if it is not so. Okay. You observe it and see its validity. Okay. So we were actually so this is one thing that what I actually found in my interactions with Babaji, that this was different from talking with anyone else, right? Normally, when we talk with one another, we actually uh, talk with certain uncertainty. Maybe it is so, maybe it is not so. But here, one person is saying that it is so. I have seen it. There is no doubt about that, right? So then, if one is actually taking that point, then one actually has the option. Okay, maybe uh, is this so? What is the proof that it is so? The next thing, that question of proof, he says that proof of having understood all there is in my own conduct is definite because of having known this reality. Okay, I live in the way a awakened person lives. My conduct is definite. Right? So we will actually talk about that in this, about what does evidence of having known actually uh, mean, right? So it's not something that you can prove by some in some laboratory, or you can direct to some scripture, that okay, because it is written in Vedas, it is written in Bible, therefore it is true. It is true because I have seen it so, and because it is there in my conduct. So that becomes the evidence, which becomes a way of verifying by another person also. And another person can actually ask question, can dialogue with, and see the possibility of achieving that state within oneself. Okay. So we will, in these three paragraphs, we actually are taking the first jab at what is existence. It's upfront saying that these are the two realities. What are their basic mm, attributes, which is the way they are. And we will now understand further on what uh, this entails. Yeah. So any observation or any remark, anyone?
Yeah, just want to say thank you so much for so painstakingly, explaining it almost word by word, these three small paragraphs. And I can actually see the how the flow is going so far. The first paragraph, the first section that we read today talks about the existence as a whole and
Mm.
makes a point that there are two distinct realities in existence. One is the
Yeah.
omnipotence, omnipresence, and then there are units. Okay, now
Yeah.
the second section that we read today, just now, is sort of trying to make the readers, look at the omnipresence part and in comparison with the units. So units are
Mm.
like this, omnipresence is like this, units are like this, omnipresence is like this. So word by word, sentence by sentence, there are basic characteristics of these two realities. There are differences in them, and
Mm.
they are being highlighted. And I think when I look at the title of the chapter, development of atom in existence. So we are trying to understand the existence. Now somewhere development is also happening in existence. So I think it will take us further on into where exactly is the development happening.
Yes.
So
Right.
this is it.
Yeah.
One point which I was seeing is I was wondering whether how does it read this in the middle, the last sentence of the second paragraph in English. In this way, existence itself is omnipresent and countless. And I was not sure with how does it sound when we are reading it or
So basically,
so
what I understand that,
countless, yeah. So just is wondering whether instead of countless, if we say infinite, how would it
yeah,
mean? In
right,
this way,
right, right.
existence itself is omnipresent and infinite.
That is correct. It is correct. So one is, I mean, we will need to understand the way first I had actually understood this sentence was that existence is two realities. One is Vyapak, that is
Hmm.
omnipotence, and second is the countless units.
Yeah.
So I actually had actually interpreted it
Yeah,
the
I agree because the word Anant is coming twice in this sentence. One is this in the end अनंत है और एक इससे पहले भी इस इनकी गणना नहीं हो सकती इसलिए वे अनंत है. So I think
yeah.
your logic in translation is both of these words in English also should be same. So maybe the first one also instead of countless we can say infinite if we want to. All the units that exist in the form of nature cannot be counted, therefore they are infinite. Maybe we
Yeah,
can.
so I think, yeah, basically, you know that this is some discussion we
Yeah.
have been having for
Yes.
a long
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So this is
Should the word
yeah.
infinite be
We want
reserved for
to for yeah.
omnipotence
Right.
or this?
Yeah.
So what
Right.
you seem to
So
be
we can
saying
say
now,
yeah.
yeah,
So
that
here we can
infinite
keep
should be.
countless. Yeah. So here we can keep countless, and the next one, the countless looks odd. That is what my point was.
Yeah, but if you look at it, basically, yeah, we'll discuss this thing maybe offline at some
Ji.
point. So basic idea is that existence has both these realities.
Hmm.
One is omnipresent and one is countless. Okay, one.
Hmm.
So when you say existence, है ना, तो एक वाक्य बाबा जी ऐसे बोलते थे, अस्तित्व जो है असीम और अनंत है
Hmm.
ना।
Hmm.
हम्म, मानव असीम और अनंत को समझने की इच्छा रखता है। तो
Hmm.
अनंत जो है वो प्रकृति के लिए कह रहे हैं, है ना।
Hmm. Yes.
और असीम जो है वो व्यापक के लिए कह रहे हैं। सो टू
Hmm.
से दिस इन इंग्लिश दैट बाबा जी यूज्ड टू से दैट humans have aspire to understand the omnipresent and infinite. So now he
Hmm.
is saying that basically the omnipotence is what is uh, all pervasive,
Hmm.
and the units are infinite. Okay, because of uh, our identifying ourselves with the body, we cannot comprehend this absoluteness and vastness.
Hmm.
Okay, so he says that it is possible to actually comprehend these two realities uh, if we actually uh, identify with our immortal nature. Okay, we will come to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Rakesh, it makes sense. I mean, if Babaji is making that, see, all infinite sets need not be countable, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, purely mathematically. So, it is, if Babaji is
Correct.
making the difference, it is better to translate it that way. I mean, I don't know what exactly is meant, but mathematically,
Mhm.
there can be infinite sets that are countable. Some
Okay.
infinite sets need not be countable. So,
We'll
and then I can
we'll
clearly
we'll
see
probably
the
think of infinite as the units for the units.
maybe no, countable by the units will be better because those are more like countable numbers. I can map them to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But they
Yeah.
are infinite. But right, but so whatever is can be mapped to numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of things are countable.
Yes.
So they can
Yes.
be called
So they
countable.
are countably infinite.
Yeah, countably, but it is still an infinite set. Natural numbers is an infinite set.
Yes, it
But
is
they
an
are still
infinite
countable.
set.
But it is countable. I mean, purely mathematically, I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I don't know how to interpret it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is also here meaning it mathematically only.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll come to that. I
Yeah.
think that this is one thing that we need to debate it further. Okay,
Hmm.
that what should be the appropriate word for Anant. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Rakesh, one point over here. I mean, if I put my materialistic hat, right? So basically, see, the one point that I can clearly, most of it seems to be fine because all are propositions, except that I still didn't understand one point. See, these
Mhm.
units are in the material nature, right? I mean, are in a different plane than the Brahm or this omnipotence. So these units have metric, dimension, weight, so on and so forth that are countable. They have form properties, right? Now, so how can because they can only be influenced or changed by these metrics, right? Movement, depth, height, form. So how can if I cannot interact in any physical way with the axis that is omnipotence that is orthogonal, uh, how how can there one can affect the other because there is no interface, right?
Yeah.
So
So here
if
what
there is
is
an
being
interface,
said is
I mean, if there is an
there is
interface between them
yeah.
with omnipotence and this, then I mean, if there is if you're telling that there is an interface, I can see that Brahman have an interface. So this nature
Yes.
of this interface is not defined, right? I mean, how
Yeah,
can
we'll come to
yeah,
that.
yeah,
We'll come
sure.
to that. One is that they are two not in two different planes. Okay. That what is the omnipotence is defined as transplane or padatit, and nature is defined as the something which is actually in the planes. So all the units are in different planes existent in this transplane reality. So this omnipotence is not somewhere in some other plane. It exists, all the planes exist in this, and it is here.
No, the use of plane may be, my English may be wrong. I don't want to use English plane name because it might have been defined somewhere else. Right?
Hmm.
The point is, see, a plane as I understand, okay, so if there is a movement, right, in an atom or this
Hmm.
units is moving, right, it's been defined that units can move and have a metric and cause, yeah, so on and so forth, right? Now, now there is pressure between these units, right? The word pressure, so that there is attraction, repulsion, and there is dabav in these units. Now,
Yes.
so this dabav, how can omnipresence apply dabav on these units?
It
right?
does
Because
not apply the bow.
okay, what is the nature of the interaction between units and how can it affect at all this? How can nature, I mean, omnipotence affect these units then? There can be no, because only the above is the only way in which units move or apply, sense something, right? So how can, so what is the mechanism that is there between omnipresence and the units? Because the above is between only units.
This the presence of units in the omnipresence, there is something called the what we call the being soaked in it. They are actually are
Yes,
energized in it. Okay,
yes. So
they
the
are
mechanism
energized
of
in
this
it. And
energization, yes, I understand. That's the crux. So
and
there is
that
some
actually,
interaction. Yeah,
yeah, and they, because of that, there is a anchoring of units in omnipotence, which we are calling as dharma.
yeah. So there is this
You,
thing called energizing, which is some function where there is an interaction between omnipotence and these units, which is
yeah,
different
when
than
we
above.
say the word interaction, it seems that there is an exchange. There is no exchange. It is actually available to it all the time. There is
Yeah.
no give and take happening.
Yes, clearly, this is not a relationship that is defined in physics. If you assume physics
Yes.
as things that's like Dabav as
Right.
physics, right? Whatever applies pressure that we measure and then metrics and pressure are all there in this. But
Yeah.
somehow these units have this energization function that is being applied by omnipotence. Somehow they are
Right.
energized. It is clearly not metric kind of a thing,
Right.
right? Which is
It's at
not Dabav.
one place, I don't remember, maybe in this chapter itself or elsewhere, he calls it Dabav Vihin Prabhav, an effect without
Wow.
pressure.
I see. Okay, interesting. Okay.
So I mean, an analogy of this thing is that, okay, for example, if you keep an object in a cold room, it becomes cold.
Understood.
So, so it is like the units are present in the omnipotence. Because of this, they actually are inspired from it.
Yes, this is so. So this mechanism. See, the cool thing is again, we know how it happens, right? If you put it, how it. Yes, the meaning I'm trying to
The
get.
problem is that all our notions are with the interaction of units or between units. We don't have any notion of units being in omnipotence. We don't have any logic for that.
Yeah, that thing. There is some this
So,
energization
so,
relationship looks interesting. Yeah.
so this is one thing that is being introduced here. That, okay, we understand that how units affect one another, uh, how the energy gets transferred from it. But because of being in this thing, there is a quality of beingness. Okay, that
Again, no,
is.
Rakesh, again, this energization in physics is how this dabaw is put in a different way. It is not this energization that, even though the word or noun is being used similarly, the energy
Mhm.
that physics uses is to describe this dabaw in a different way. That's all. So it is at the level of dabaw. The energy in physics is how dabaw and units are moving or measuring or some properties together of these dabaws that are happening. But this energy, that word that is being used, is not coming from these movements that are there. So
Yeah,
the
so
word
there,
being used
so
is
he
confusing to me.
actually
Yeah.
distinguishes between
Yeah.
two kinds of energies.
Okay.
So there are two kinds of energies. One energy that he calls it as absolute energy, which is the infinite, and one energy he calls it as a relative energy, nirpeksh urja or sapeksh urja.
No,
So
again, those are equivalent in physics because there is absolute energy and there is relative energy even in physics, but both of them are at the Dabav plane itself, right? That are due
it's
to the motions of attraction. So these words are, but this energy looks very different, at least here in this perspective, because omnipresence presence is interacting or saturating the mechanism of how it is there is cannot be defined, right? It's being that's a new thing that is added over here, which is I just wanted to say that it is not there in physics.
Okay, yeah. So we'll understand
Yes,
that. Okay.
yes.
So Babaji used to say that this doesn't come in the purview of physics, units. This is a new definition that is being given. Okay, that what is this entity? What is its? How does it function? Okay. And so we will come to that. We'll come to understand this thing in the subsequent paragraphs. Okay. The good point that you brought about. Maybe we will understand this thing further.
As an aside, Bhaiya, I will say there are so many new things which Babaji has mentioned.
Hmm.
Like the birds are available in science, the normal science we study in academics, and but Babaji is sort of highlighting that there is more to that. And
Hmm.
one example which happened with me personally is that for 10 years after my engineering, I worked in Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and I thought that ISRO is like doing research in space. Now, after reading Madhyas Darshan, I realized that they are not doing research of space. They are actually doing research of units in space. ISRO is studying Mars, ISRO is studying Moon, ISRO is studying other bodies. So there are units in space. Okay,
Okay.
that is what ISRO is studying. So ISRO is not studying or not doing research of space. Actually, it is the author Shri A. Nagaraj who has done research in space.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
Uh, we can go ahead. Spencer, are you in a position to read? Deva, you will read the Hindi part and maybe Spencer can read the English part?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Next paragraph.
अस्तित्व सह-अस्तित्व होने के कारण पूरकता और पहचान नित्य सिद्ध होती है। जो है वह निरंतर रहता ही है और जो था नहीं वह होता नहीं। इसी कारणवश अस्तित्व जैसा है वह अनंत काल तक वैसा रहेगा ही। इसी सत्यतावश सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति की प्रत्येक इकाई अस्तित्व में परस्परता को पहचानने के रूप में व्यवहृत है। क्योंकि प्रत्येक इकाई के रूप में के सॉरी क्योंकि प्रत्येक इकाई में रूप, गुण, स्वभाव और धर्म अविभाज्य वर्तमान है। सत्ता में प्रकृति संपृक्त होने के कारण प्रत्येक इकाई अस्तित्व धर्म सहित होता है। इसका साक्षी ही है किसी इकाई का नाश न होना। जो कुछ भी होता है वह केवल परिवर्तन और विकास ही है। धर्म का तात्पर्य जिसका विलगीकरण न हो। अस्तित्व स्वयं अस्तित्व होने के कारण यही परम धर्म का रूप है। अस्तित्व स्वयं संपूर्ण भाव होने के कारण प्रत्येक इकाई में भाव संपन्नता देखने को मिलती है। मूलतः अस्तित्व में परम भाव होने के कारण अस्तित्व ही परम धर्म हुआ। इस प्रकार भाव और इकाई अविभाज्य वर्तमान है। अस्तित्व ही अस्तित्व का रूप होने के कारण संपूर्ण भाव या मूल्य परस्परता में पूरकता, पहचान, व्यंजना है और अभिव्यक्ति रूप में आदान प्रदान है। संपूर्ण भाव का तात्पर्य प्रत्येक पद और अवस्था में स्थित इकाइयों की मौलिकता से है। मौलिकता का तात्पर्य मूल्य से है। इसका तात्पर्य यह हुआ कि परम धर्म अथवा अस्तित्व प्रत्येक इकाई में समान है, इसलिए वह सार्वभौम और शाश्वत है। मूल्यों का ही आदान प्रदान और पहचान होती है, क्योंकि परस्परता में ही पूरकता, पहचान और व्यंजनाएं होती हैं। साथ ही प्रत्येक व्यंजना होने योग्य घटना है। इकाई की मौलिकता अथवा मूल्य नित्य वर्तमान होने के कारण नियंत्रित, संरक्षित व सार्वभौम है।
Just 1 minute.
Mm.
I'll bring it to the next. page so that it comes on the same screen. Yeah.
Okay. Since existence is coexistence, complementarity and mutual recognition are eternally established. That which exists continues to be, and that which is not does not come into existence. Therefore, existence will remain as it is till eternity. Based on this truth, every unit saturated in omnipotence is engaged in recognizing its mutuality in existence, with every unit having an inseparable presence of form, properties, essential nature, and dharma. Since nature is saturated in omnipotence, every unit is endowed with the dharma of existence, evidenced by the indestructibility of units. All that occurs is merely change and development. Dharma means that from which one cannot be, sorry, dharma means that from which one cannot be separated. Since existence is coexistence, this indestructibility itself is the ultimate dharma. Since existence is the entire beingness, every unit is seen with beingness. Fundamentally, because coexistence is the absolute beingness, it is the absolute dharma of existence. In this way, beingness and unit are inseparably present. Since existence is in the form of coexistence, entire beingness exhibits complementarity, mutual recognition, and impression in their mutuality, manifesting in the form of reciprocity. Entire beingness implies the essentiality of units in every plane and order. Essentiality refers to value. This implies that the ultimate dharma, existence, is identical in every unit, making it universal and perpetual. It is values that are reciprocated and mutually recognized. As complementarity, mutual recognition, and impression occur only in mutuality. Additionally, every impression is an event that is describable. The essentiality value of a unit is regulated, protected, and universal because it is eternally present. Okay. So, Devbhai, you want to say something about this one first, or should I go? Okay. So, well, it's a lot of big words. It's a little bit hard to follow this one, but the sense that came in the first part of the paragraph is that coexistence is eternal. It is indestructible. It's the only thing that changes is like that there's just like change and development. So, the matter moves around from here and there, but the actual essence of it is the same. It doesn't go away. And that is the ultimate dharma of existence. Dharma is that which cannot be separated from the unit, which cannot be separated. So, yeah. So indestructibility is the ultimate dharma, is what he says. And Yeah, it's okay. It's interesting. And then the second part of the paragraph gets a little bit tricky for me to understand, at least in the first read. Um, I'm gonna let someone else take it away from here.
Okay. Yeah. Debhai, you want to say something?
No way, I'm struggling today. Okay.
Yeah.
Constantly, as you mentioned in the beginning of the session, science, it is coming always in between while trying to understand.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We will actually keep our knowledge of science at a respectable place, and we'll try to understand what he is actually trying to say here. So, one thing is the first line is saying that since existence is coexistence, complementarity and mutual recognition among units is eternally established, because each unit is in coexistence with the absolute, uh, and it is this sense of coexistence is there between the units also. So coexistence is not just between the units and the omnipresence, it is between the units also. And between the units, it is in the form of complementariness and mutual recognition. So mutual recognition means that uh, the units are not in isolation. Each unit is, uh, there is a uniform uh, omnipotence which is actually available to all of them in the same way. That is in the sense of unifying glue of all the units, which is the basis of their mutual recognition and complementarity. So the units are able to recognize one another because they are within the same omnipotence. And then he says that basically there is nothing new that comes into existence. That which exists continues to be, and that which was not does not come into existence. So existence I mean, it's possible at one place you may not have all the states of existence, but within existence, in its limitless and infinite sense, all the states are present at the same time. So they are eternally present. So therefore, he says that existence will remain as it is till eternity. So it basically gives the uh, hypothesis, or this gives the conception of a stable and eternal existence. It's not basically saying that existence is expanding or contracting, or it is uh, something new will come into it at some point in time. So he's saying that existence will remain as it is till eternity. Okay. So then he says that based on this truth, every unit saturated in omnipotence is engaged in recognizing its mutuality in existence. So because the units are multiple in number, they are engaged in recognizing one another in their mutuality. इकाइयां एक दूसरे को पहचानने में व्यस्त हैं, पहचानने और निर्वाह करने में व्यस्त हैं. And every unit has an inseparable presence of form, properties, essential nature, and dharma. So every unit has these four dimensions that we are actually talking about. We will actually come to describe these things at a later in some detail, but I will just briefly describe. Dharma actually is, one sense, is the foundation uh, of the entity. It is the stability of the entity with something that does not change. It is the identity itself. then the essential nature or swabhav is their participation in the whole of existence with all other units. Property is something that basically gives the direction of this the entity. What is its effect on other entities? And the form is simple. It is the shape, the volume, and density, right? That is the form which is there for every unit which is composed of matter. So he says that one is that this form, property, essential nature, and dharma are something which is integral to the unit and are inseparable. Like you cannot take the heat out of the heated object. Okay. So heat and heated object are together. So its property is an inseparable aspect of the unit. So property is in the same way essential nature and dharma are actually integral to the unit. So as we had said that uh, since nature is saturated in omnipotence, every unit is endowed with the dharma of existence. So that is clear enough that every unit basically, because it is saturated in omnipotence, every unit is having the dharma of existence, evidenced by the indestructibility of units. Like we had said that units are saturated in the omnipotence, which means that they are submerged, surrounded, and soaked. So, because ev every units cannot clash with one another, there is always space between them. So, it's not possible for a unit to actually destroy another unit. So there is always the gap of, there is always space in the middle. And also the space is not destroying the units. So indestructibility is actually assured. Indestructibility of the units is assured by being in omnipotence. That is one fundamental that is being said, is that by existence is coexistence, therefore indestructibility is the ultimate dharma. This is something that basically is the proposition here. Coexistence ensures that the units cannot be destroyed. Then the since existence is coexistence, okay, since existence is the entire beingness, every unit is seen with beingness. Now he says that every unit actually has the image of the whole existence. That is another thing that basically is saying. Since coexistence is the absolute beingness, it is the absolute dharma of existence. Now, beingness is something that it is saying that is the property of the unit. It is actually, it cannot be separated from the unit. And because every unit has the beingness, so they actually demonstrate coexistence in the form of complementariness, mutual recognition, and they have impression on one another. Like a unit is there, then it gets reflected onto other units. That is how they recognize one another and respond to that. So normally we say that mutual recognition uh, is the property of consciousness, but here it is basically saying that even the material units are having the capacity of recognizing one another. Okay, so that is the thing, because the argument that he basically says, because they are responding to one another, therefore they are recognizing one another. Okay, so recognition and response is something which is present in the insentient nature also. Okay. And then basically we said since being entire beingness implies there is another word that is being used is called essentiality. So essentiality is something, and there is a word called plane and order. Okay, I will actually describe these words. Like there is something called essentiality is something that defines the nature of this thing. Like for example, a neem tree has certain essentiality, yeah, maulikta, which is there only in the neem tree and not in anything else. A mango tree has a certain essentiality that is not there in any other thing. So units at different orders have different essentiality. And then planes are another thing that we will come to and discuss that there is units are there in the in sentient plane, which we call all the physico-chemical matter. Then there are units which we call as in the delusion plane, where the Jivan is there, which identifies itself with the material nature, that we call is the delusional plane. And finally, we are also called, there is a called deific plane. That is when Jivan actually is uh, has identified its true nature, then where it actually is able to express humaneness. We will come to that. I think it is a little early for describing all the details here, though many of you have in this group have already read the content in Hindi.
Namaste, भैया.
जी जी कृष्णा.
When you are using word essentiality, it refers
हम्म.
it refers to properties or something else.
भैया ये मौलिकता के लिए है.
Okay. Okay.
प्रॉपर्टीज जो है वो गुण के लिए है.
Right, but when you are giving examples of these नीम का पेड़ और आम का पेड़, अलग अलग पेड़ का एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हैं, तब तो वहां तो भैया मौलिकता की बात करेंगे तब तो दोनों की सिमिलरिटी होगी. एसेंशियलिटी अगर मौलिकता को ले रहे हैं तो फिर जो डिफरेंस
नहीं.
है तो प्रॉपर्टीज का है.
नहीं, मौलिकता जो है वो हर एक की अपनी मौलिकता है. जैसे जो मौलिकता जो नीम की है वो मौलिकता आम में नहीं है. दोनों का स्वभाव एक ही है. मानव में स्वभाव और मौलिकता एक ही हो जा रही है.
Okay.
लेकिन वहां पर जो है स्वभाव जो है वो एक रहते हुए अनेक प्रकार की मौलिकताएं, अनेक जातियां वहां पर पाई जा रही हैं. देयर आर मेनी स्पीशीज इन द plant order or in the biological order, and each one has their own essentiality, and each one has a distinct role in the existence. But in humans, the essential nature is common, and essential nature and essentiality is the same. So the value of essentiality refers to the value.
Means it's participation.
Yes.
ओके. सो ये आपकी बात से जो मैं जो समझ पा रहा हूँ तो पदार्थ अवस्था या प्राण अवस्था के साथ में थोड़ा सा ये मौलिकता में हम स्वभाव के साथ गुण को ऐड बिल्कुल एज ए इंटैक्ट पार्ट, वैसे तो इंटैक्ट है ही सारा, बट वो हम लेके चल रहे हैं. जबकि यहाँ पर ज्ञान अवस्था में जो है, ह्यूमन ऑर्डर में जो है वो दोनों एक ही बात हो गई है. ऐसा मैं आपकी.
बिल्कुल. बिल्कुल. तो मौलिकता जो है वो गुण को हम मौलिकता नहीं कह रहे हैं. गुणों की उपयोगिता जो है वहां पर हम उसको मौलिकता जो है वो उसके त्व को कह रहे हैं.
राइट, ठीक है।
So, okay. So, okay, I think basically it's a very loaded paragraph. I will only try to say this in a few words. One is that basically these units are there in coexistence, and they have the because of coexistence with omnipotence, there is certain aspect of complementariness and mutual complementarity and mutual recognition that basically comes because of their being in omnipotence. This actually gets manifested in the form of exchange of values between them. So there are a number of things that actually entail because of matter being present in omnipotence.
Bhaiya, can you just scroll down, please, so that we can see the full paragraph? Yeah, thank
जी.
you. What is the word for Vyanjana? English word?
Impression. जैसे for example, you have so many things around you, right? They get you have the impression of that onto yourself, right? वो आपके ऊपर व्यंजित होते हैं. In the same way, every unit has its impression on other units.
But like we are selective in taking the impressions, no?
Yes, that is because we are not acceptance of the entirety of the thing. We do not appreciate the uh, uh, all the things that is actually having the impression on us. Okay, I think it's about time, so we can. I mean, maybe I will make another sort of presentation in the next session, next Sunday, on this. Maybe we'll prepare some sort of a slide also on this to explain this better. It's a and
Yes, Rakesh. I think this value looks how this value is being defined here. A little bit trying to understand that.
yeah, yeah, sure. So anyone would like to add any comment on this?
Rakesh Bhaiya, it's a very good discussion in this omnipotence and all the discussion we had with you and everybody, including you and Sanjeev Bhaiya. So it's a beautiful learning lesson today.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Shilpa Didi?
Yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts that in this paragraph, it's like very, very loaded. So like two things that, to understand that reality is, always there, like the past, present, future is there at this particular moment. So there is no past, that it is over or, something will come, but everything is eternal, so that is a very beautiful concept. And second is like, if we understand that there is no destruction, whatever is there and it is only change and it is only progress, so it really gives way to a lot of fear that we have in ourselves, because fear is basically fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of destruction. So it
Hmm.
really helps us to let go of fear. I mean, if one can understand it, I mean, I haven't understood, but yeah, if one can truly understand the meaning, one can, become fearless when you understand this. Just wanted to share this.
Yeah, I think Babaji also used to say that one of the thing that you one two thing that you basically become assured of and to in this world is that once you become very clear about that this world is not going anywhere, it has been there, will be there, is there. Okay. Second thing is that if you become very clear about your immortality, that then you become free from the fear. Okay. So he says that these two things, if we become very clear about, it sets the foundation for our living in this world with trust. Okay. So, yeah. So, Sanjeev Bhaiya, shall we
Ji bhaiya, I
close
think
this?
that we are like as everyone has said, including you, this paragraph is very deep and maybe lead will need multiple self-readings also. A lot of self-reflection is also needed. I always maintain that everything cannot be discussed in session. These sessions can only give us pointers. It is our self-reflection which will make us understand the reality. So discussions are helpful in that. So I think all of us, this particular paragraph, I think it will need multiple readings, and of course we'll all do that, and we can close the section today. It's time, and we'll continue from this point next week,
And
same time. And thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Rakesh Bhaiya, for facilitating.
thank you.
Thanks.